It's been 2 years since Bardstown police officer Jason Ellis was murdered on his way home. Coming up, we'll show you how the city he served is remembering him.
Coming up, the personal story of a Lexington woman who remembers fallen soldiers all year round.
The man in this surveillance video is running a $1 million identity theft scheme. How he did it and what you can do to protect yourself. Coming up.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Good afternoon. On this Memorial Day, it has been 2 years to the day since a Bardstown police officer was gunned down.
Officer Jason Ellis was ambushed when he stopped to pick up debris on the Bluegrass Parkway back in May 2013. Even though there's a hefty reward for information leading to an arrest, no arrest has been made. Victor Puente shows us how Officer Ellis is being remembered today in our top story at 5:30.
This time last year, there was a large public memorial for Bardstown police officer Jason Ellis. But this year, most of those ceremonies will be private. It makes sense since this city doesn't really need a public memorial for Jason Ellis. The city itself is one.
Everybody's still in shock. We cannot believe 2 years later that the killer has not been found.
Downtown Bardstown is home to hundreds of pictures of Officer Jason Ellis. The husband and father of two was killed in 2013 as he was getting off the Bluegrass Parkway at exit 34. The reminders there are some of many throughout Nelson County.
It overhangs our community that this is still unsolved after all and I know that our officials and our state police, they're all doing everything they can.
State police say he was shot as he was removing debris that had been left in the road. On Friday, they released a video of Ellis's wife, Amy, asking for new information in the case. The Bardstown police chief said this year they were keeping their memorials private, limiting them to family and co-workers. The people who live and work in Bardstown say memorial or not, they think about Jason Ellis every day.
Everyone that knew him loved him. He was very dedicated to his children, to this community, and to the Bardstown Police Force, yes.
If doing the right thing isn't motivation enough, Kentucky State Police tell us the reward for information in this case is $185,000. In Nelson County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
There will be a candlelight ceremony tonight at Ellis's grave at the Chaplain Cemetery.
We're tracking a developing story now out of western Kentucky. State police say they have found the man wanted in a missing toddler case in Monroe County. Troopers arrested 25-year-old Anthony Barber this afternoon during a traffic stop outside the Temple Hill Volunteer Fire Department. Barber is accused of taking his girlfriend's daughter, 2-year-old Lainey Wallace. But troopers say she has not been found yet. Neighbors say Barber forced a woman to drive him somewhere at gunpoint. They say state police pulled over that woman for not wearing a seatbelt. They tell us they are questioning Barber right now, hoping he can help them find the young child.
This Memorial Day weekend has been relatively dry.
But as the long weekend wraps up, showers start moving into our region. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey's here with us on Memorial Day, taking a look at a more wet forecast.
Yeah, we got an increase in the raindrops out there this evening. And eventually, guys, some thunderstorms will be joining the party over the next several days. I think we're going back into a rather stormy setup over the next week and change. You can see who's getting clouds, who's getting some rain, compared to who's getting more in the way of sunshine. Look at eastern Kentucky. Low 80s as of now, 75 Lexington, 79 into Richmond. Farther west and southwest that we go, those temperatures are a little cooler with low and mid 70s. Here's what we are tracking on Live First Alert Defender. Again, some lighter rains for the Bluegrass region. Not a whole lot to write home about, more of a nuisance shower or two into parts of central Kentucky. Slower moving showers, maybe trying to bubble up into an out and out thunder shower. Beattyville, Boonville, back into the London, Corbin, Somerset area, back to the southwest toward Lake Cumberland. A couple of raindrops beginning to lift on in. This action coming out of the volunteer state of Tennessee, where we have some stronger storms that are gathering a lot of steam that may increase into far southeastern Kentucky. Weather headlines, though, showers and thunderstorms around. Watching the severe weather threat for Tuesday as the stormy setup kicks off for the next 7 days. That forecast comes your way in less than 10 minutes.
Memorial Day weekend serves as a kickoff to summer, but it's also a very important time to remember those who died serving our country.
Hundreds of people across central and eastern Kentucky took time today to honor the fallen heroes. One ceremony was at the Lexington National Cemetery. Monique Blair talks to a woman who tries to pay tribute to everyone buried in the cemetery.
The Lexington Cemetery filled with red, white, and blue today as hundreds paid tribute to those who have given the ultimate sacrifice.
It's just a fascinating place because a lot of times you'll see brothers buried next to brothers, and one was Union, one was Confederate, and that was the house divided that you hear about.
This is Laura Lawler.
It's just one of those things that when you just feel something very deeply and very personally, you just don't question it.
3 years ago, Lawler began digging into the cemetery's rich history that dates back to the 1800s.
It just becomes part of you. Flipping through a magazine, I saw a picture of General Morgan, and just something spoke to me that this was something I needed to investigate.
Lawler doesn't only come out here to remember and honor fallen soldiers, she also dedicates her time to learn more about each person who's buried out here.
This is someone 35 years old, Joshua Michael, being remembered today. And, you know, I can't even see when he died, but it doesn't matter. Someone's remembering him one way or another.
For Lawler, every day that she visits the cemetery is Memorial Day.
Nobody really wants to be forgotten, and that's what this whole day is about. It's a wonderful tribute to everyone in the country and here, and it's just Lexington Cemetery is special.
In Lexington, Monique Blair, WKYT.
Lawler says because of all the rich history she's discovered in the Lexington Cemetery, she's now working on writing a book. Some students marked Memorial Day at the East Kentucky Veterans Center. Perry County Central High School JROTC students presented the colors to the veterans there, and they also presented a wreath to honor fallen U.S. military members.
Brings back a lot of memories, showing that everybody cares for the ones that served, and especially ones that didn't get back.
People from the local Disabled American Veterans and Veterans of Foreign Wars chapters also took part.
We now know the name of the couple killed in a weekend fire in Estill County. State police say that 83-year-old Tracy Gabbard and his wife, 79-year-old Dorothy Gabbard, died in a fire at their home on Ann Street in Irvin. We're told that neighbors tried to rescue the couple from the home. Firefighters have not said what caused the fire. A woman is recovering tonight after an argument led to shots being fired at a Lexington shopping center. Police say that about 12:30 last night, they found a woman with injuries to her leg at the Russell Cave Plaza. Police say the victim and another woman got into a fight over a man. Shots were fired and some flying asphalt ended up hitting the victim. Police say the two suspects drove off in a white Nissan.
A man nicknamed the Bogus Beggar agrees to a plea deal. Our County by County coverage at 5:30 begins in Franklin County. The State Journal reports Gary Thompson has pleaded guilty to sexual misconduct. He was originally charged with third-degree rape and being a persistent felony offender. The rape charge was amended as part of the plea. Police say the victim is a woman he knows who has an intellectual disability. Thompson has admitted to pretending he's intellectually disabled to get money. In Pike County, state police are looking into what caused a deadly crash this weekend. Troopers say 24-year-old Jimmy Mullins of Elkhorn City was driving on Regina Belcher Highway when his vehicle went off the road. We're told his vehicle then flipped into a creek. Mullins was pronounced dead at the scene. Troopers say he was not wearing a seatbelt. They believe alcohol was not a factor in the crash.
How easy is it to run an identity theft scam? A story we're about to tell you answers that very question, and it sends an important message to every person that they need to know. You are looking at surveillance video of Charles Raymond Stato walking in and out of a post office and retrieving mail from post office boxes. The problem, the money in the envelopes doesn't belong to him. He had orchestrated an elaborate scheme to steal from financial institutions. It began with the creation of fake names, dates of birth, and Social Security numbers.
Some Social Security numbers belong to real persons, some belong to deceased persons, some were fictitious, and he used these synthetic identities which he created to apply for hundreds of credit card accounts and checking accounts.
Next, he would hit up big banks.
He would send counterfeit overpayment checks to credit card companies in excess of what he owed on a given account, and that would cause financial institutions to generate credit balance refund checks, which were sent to him.
Stato made $1 million from 4 banks alone. One of the Social Security numbers he used belonged to Kathleen Hinian.
It was shocking. I felt violated, and it was very disheartening.
And there was nothing Kathleen could have done to prevent it. Stato just happened to make up a number that belonged to her.
We do everything that we think is right. We shred our mail or we burn it. You know, I don't use the internet a lot for online ordering. We're very careful.
Inspectors say more than 200 financial institutions were scammed in this scheme that affected consumers, too.
He wasn't stealing from me, but in a sense he was stealing from everyone because he defrauded these companies out of so much money, and that expense has to trickle down to the consumer. So he really is stealing from me.
Now, postal inspectors recommend that all people take advantage of the free yearly credit reports offered by the three main credit agencies. Those reports will tell you if someone has stolen your Social Security or credit card numbers.
Follow WKYT online at WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
Even though a recanvass has been ordered in the Republican primary for governor, the Secretary of State says the results rarely change.
And Kentucky senators are at odds over the Patriot Act. Bill Bryant has details in today's Bottom Line.
Good evening. Memorial Day is a solemn and yet highly visible day for local and national leaders. President Obama laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknowns and made remarks about the sacrifices that so many have made to keep America free. In central Kentucky, there were several observances today, including one where Congressman Andy Barr spoke about patriotism in Winchester. A statewide recanvass of the Republican gubernatorial primary is set for 9 a.m. this Thursday. Secretary of State Allison Lundergan-Grimes says it is important to recheck the machines, given that 83 vote difference between the top two candidates, Matt Bevin and James Comer. But she says recanvasses rarely change the outcome.
In the recanvasses that I have been a part of as Secretary of State, they did not alter any of the vote totals. But for instance, in 2011, Republican nomination for Secretary of State Hilda Legg requested a recanvass against Bill Johnson, and it did change the vote total slightly, 6 votes, but it didn't alter the ultimate nomination that was certified by the State Board of Elections.
County clerks will also recheck totals in the Republican race for Agriculture Commissioner, where the initial count shows State Representative Ryan Quarles the winner by about 1,400 votes over State Representative Richard Heath. Congress is in recess until May 31st, when the Senate will only then have a few hours to try to beat a deadline to reauthorize the Patriot Act. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is pushing hard to get it done and preserve the National Security Agency's program that collects bulk phone data, including from U.S. citizens. But his fellow Kentucky senator and Republican presidential candidate Rand Paul is a vocal opponent and calls it an invasion of privacy. Law students at Northern Kentucky University may soon be studying where inmates used to do their time. Northern is considering moving its Chase College of Law into the former Kenton County Jail and another building in Covington. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
A Kentucky native is topping the box office again.
He is. Tomorrowland, starring George Clooney, earned nearly $42 million during its first 4 days in theaters. The film cost a reported $180 million to produce. It was expected to earn $50 million over the holiday weekend. Tomorrowland edged out last weekend's champion, Pitch Perfect 2, which brought in about $38.5 million this weekend.